Alright, in this tutorial I want to go over the tabs at the top of Photoshop so you understand what options you have in each of these. I will go through these quickly because there's a lot of in-depth information that will be covered in more advanced tutorials later on. So the first tab, File, all the normal things you see. You can make a new blank document. You can open a document, which is what we're going to do. There's also this Open Recent option, which is nice when you come in and you've worked on it the day before. If you don't want to try to scroll through all the different boxes, then you can just simply go to Open Recent. But we're going to go to Open for right now. And what I'm going to have you do is, again, go to your Tutorials folder. Okay, so Multimedia folder, Class Resources, Tutorials, Photoshop, Pictures for Tutorial. And this time what I would like for you to do is we are going to choose this Victoria BC 65. It's a little bit closer up picture. I'm having you use different types of pictures so you can see how each of them interact. And also, I'm having you, eventually we will use different pictures in the same final Photoshop document by combining different layers. Okay? So under the File option, you also have the Save and the Save As. Remember, if you open it as a JPEG, which we have, if you want to save it as a Photoshop document, you usually need to go to File, Save As. The thing that Photoshop will do, any edits you make, it's automatically going to ask you to save it as a Photoshop document. You have to remember that because if you save it as a JPEG, it will, all of the edits you have done in Photoshop will be flattened. Essentially, they will be lost. So if you are doing things in Photoshop and you are not finished, you have to use the Save As button and save it as a Photoshop document. You also might want to import certain things. Usually we just place or we open two documents at the same time and bring it in. There's no need to export. You can just do a Save As to get a JPEG or a PDF. That's a little different than InDesign. In InDesign, you export as a PDF so that all those files will flatten. In Photoshop, you simply need to do a Save As, and then you can save it as a PDF or an InDesign. I apologize for that pop-up. Under your Edit button, you have several different options. The obvious ones, copy, cut, and paste. You'll notice that they're grayed out. The reason they are grayed out is the only way to use that option is if you have a selection. Okay, so if I were to take my rectangular selection, grab a small portion of it, and I wanted to use copy, it's going to copy only what is inside of that selection. If I want to copy the entire document, then I go to Select All. When I hit copy, it will copy everything that's in the highlighted dashed lines. Remember, selection is the first step for anything in Photoshop. What you select is what will be edited. Fill and stroke, you don't need to know those. Free transform, that is something that you will use often. Okay, so what I would like for you to do is we are going to take only a portion of our picture and free transform it. What we're going to do is we're going to take a slice right over here. We're going to take a slice right down the center, and what I want you to do is try to get it away from the house, and I'd like you not to select the red car. So if you put it right through there, then you can say Edit, Free Transform. And what you'll notice is you'll get these little toggles. And you can actually stretch the edge of your picture, you can stretch a large portion of your picture, you can right click, and you can say Skew, which will allow you to deform only a portion of it. You can hit Perspective, which will transform it equally on each one. You can warp it, which will give you a bunch of different toggles, all of which can give you circular, different toggles do different things. You can pull the grids. Go ahead and play around with those. And then there's Rotate, which is exactly what it sounds like. It allows you to rotate a portion of it. You can hit Control Z, Control Alt Z. Does not work in Free Transform. In Free Transform, you can only step back one step. So if you go too many steps and you don't like it, you simply need to hit Escape. It will take you back to your original, and then you can go back to Free Transform. So all I want you guys to do is just stretch this edge, just so that I know that you've done it. And to complete your transformation, you hit Enter. Remember, if you don't like it, you hit Escape. Then you can hit Control D on your keyboard to start over. Okay, Control D is deselect. The other things on this one that you might use, you might need to change your preferences. It's the same thing, units. If you want to use your rulers similarly to how we use them in InDesign, those are all here. But for the most part, the only thing you really use this for is free transform and transform. There's also your undo buttons here, and it shows you step backwards, Alt Control Z, and step forward, Shift Control Z. And then the normal things you are used to, like cut, copy. If you say copy merged, it means you're trying to select things from more than one layer. We'll go over that later. Under image, there are a lot of adjustments you can make under image. The things that we want to know how to do right now, image size is important to understand. Image size will tell you the resolution. If you take a picture off of the internet and you're unsure whether it's high enough quality, resolution is your best friend. You want to check it to make sure that it's at least 72 at the very minimum. And if it is at 72, these numbers need to be quite a bit bigger. Otherwise, your file is going to be too small and it's going to be very pixelated and hard to use. So you always want to check this resolution if you're unsure. Also, if you're trying to save it, a 20-inch by 13-inch picture at 240 dpi is a pretty large file type. So if you wanted to, say, upload it to the web, you would go here and reduce the image size. That will just reduce the entire thing. So if I change this to 150, you'll notice the entire picture changes. So that is the actual image. Canvas size is a little bit different. Let's say we wanted to just make it a little bit taller so that we can add some more sky in. You would simply change the height and it adds in a white portion. Then we can do our free transform, like we just talked about. We make a selection, we free transform, then we can raise the sky. Maybe we want to add some text or something up to the top. I'm going to hit Control D to deselect. The other options you have under here are image rotation. This will rotate the entire canvas 180, 90 degrees, whatever it is. Under here you have mode. If you feel like your layer is in a weird mode, you might want to check this. It should always be in RGB or CMYK. Under adjustments, there are lots of different things that we can do. If you use these adjustments, it will change your entire picture. What I would prefer is that you guys use layer masks to change these things. So I'm going to leave these for later on when we talk about our layers and talk to you about those in a little bit more depth. But feel free to play around with these if you would like. What you will notice is they're all editing the entire picture. This is one way of doing it, but layer masks are a better way of doing it. If you have just one portion selected, then that portion is the only thing that will change. If I were to take that square and I say black and white, you'll notice it's only editing that portion of it. So if you want to select and make changes to the entire picture, you simply need to make sure nothing is selected. Then you can go to Image, Adjustments, and you can change your hue and saturation, and it will change the entire picture. I'm going to go over Layer, Type, Select, and Filter in the next tutorial.